All right, everyone. This is the Disney and musicals round. I'm very excited because I love Disney and musicals. So let's go and judge and see who will move forward.
Okay, it's perfect.
You sounded so enthusiastic. I love Disney and musicals. I'm sorry, Scott.
I mean,
sorry.
I do. So I was like, wait, you want me to guest judge for this round? Hell yeah.
Ooh. Okay,
It was a very fun round.
Are we ready to paste?
I'm ready to paste.
Okay.
I'm ready.
In 3, 2, 1, go. Interesting.
Hey, we were pretty in line. Look at this. We only had 2 contentions between us.
Wait, okay, I am very questioning one of these.
That is very, very night and day, isn't it? On that one.
Look at that. I'm like much faster than Petri at doing this.
Wow. That was crazy.
I know what I want to go over first.
Okay. What do you want to go over first, Scott?
Demonte.
Yes.
Yeah, I am fairly confident in saying that this was auto-tuned, and I could hear like the mechanical like pitch shifting of his voice, and especially like that high that note that felt completely fabricated.
Interesting. I was wondering about that because if it wasn't fabricated, then that would be quite literally insane.
If it wasn't, that is impressive, but I don't believe it. Like, I would need to see a video of him doing that live in order for me to believe it.
Do you think his performance would have been better had that not been included?
Just that one note?
Yeah.
No. I think that overall, again, I felt like the voice was very, like, overproduced and auto-tuned and things like that. Like, not all the time, but I could definitely tell at certain parts where, like, in specific vocal runs, it was very, like, like, specific.
Okay, so it was too precise. That's what you're saying. It didn't have that normal human cadence of doing a run. Like Christina Aguilera.
I didn't hear any vibrato. I didn't hear any sort of like vocal inflection, intonation, warbling kind of thing. Like it was just, I don't have the audio file on me, obviously, but it didn't seem like it was very humanistic.
Dang, I kind of wish that I'd known about this beforehand, so we could have we could have asked. Yeah. We could have asked them for the raws.
I mean, if you are hearing something different, maybe I'm completely off base, but every time, like, I went back to this song a few times, and each time I was just like, it sounds like it's being manipulated.
Okay.
I
don't mind. Let's all take a time to do a quick listen. At 4:18, where the run goes down, that sounded too fast, but the other runs before it didn't seem that fast.
Yeah, on 4:18, it's like, oh, like that quickly of a jump. It didn't seem very natural to me.
Yeah, but the other ones did seem humanly possible.
I'm not saying that they're not possible. I'm just saying in this instance, it doesn't seem like it's true. I mean,
I think
you can
hear the auto-tune.
You can overrule me on this.
No. But this is a debate. So, like, I'm saying that I think that autotune was used throughout the piece, but like not on every single bit of it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's used on every single bit, but it's used enough, and in a singing competition, using it to any more than like a slight correction here and there seems very disgenuine or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
What I would like to know is who mixed this. Was it Demonte, or was it someone else in like
it was Demonte.
In the Discord?
It was Demonte.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's like I feel like you can even hear it like right at the beginning where he says far off place. It's almost like it's trying to correct the hiss of the S.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I can't tell if it's because of the microphone or
it's
or
hard.
what, but
it's really hard to tell
It
if
looks
it's
like he has a good microphone.
Yeah, it's questionable enough to me to take that into consideration for sure.
Yeah, I'm just wondering because it could be a multitude of things. You know, the EQ. I know EQ messed up another contestant's entry this round, or it could be the de-esser, because when I have messed around with my de-esser before, it can really fuck up your recording.
Yes, it can.
That's fair. But again, it seems more than just like an EQ or de-esser because it's more of the pitch and the quality of it. When you're normally singing it, you'll still have a little bit of like wavering or something in terms of your voice because you're vibrating your voice and everything. Here it seems a little too clean, a little too staying on the same pitch. Great singers can still do that. I'm not saying that that's not possible, but I'm feeling in this particular instance, it seems like the voice it's being filtered. That's what it feels like.
I see what you mean.
The question is, what do we do about this?
I know, because we're so far into the competition now that a strike system seems unfair. Like, hey, give you a strike this round, and if this happens again next round, you're out. That seems unfair to the others who have been trying their hardest and putting their best foot forward without manufacturing themselves.
Because I will say, I think he has a great voice outside of that. Like the other entries he did sounded really good. I just feel like this one, he went a little too far on correcting it.
Well, I mean, I will say for me, I would feel comfortable with a substitution.
I would too.
Yeah. So like, I guess maybe let's talk through the other contentions and we'll see who ends up making the cut. I mean, how many spaces do we have actually?
So the spaces that we have left, if we include all of the 3 yeses, we only have 3 slots left.
So among the 6 here, we need to pick 3.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
That seems easy enough, right?
Yeah, no, we've got this in the bag.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next?
Oh, I do. I really do. I see, Scott, that you have given the single yes to Twinkle Berg, and I want to say that while in her song she performs very lovely, this is the 3rd time I've asked her to showcase some power, and this song was the perfect setup for that. So I'm not confident at all to put her through because she didn't do anything to stand out among the rest of the competitors or even amongst the rest of her group.
Okay, interesting. I wasn't aware of those notes on Twinkle Berg, so I can definitely see that. Like I rated it high because it was very pretty and bright and the emotion really came through, but I can understand like you wanting more power out of it.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat where I feel like we've heard this aspect of Twinkle's voice so many times now that I was just waiting for something else to come through. And I think that Twinkle has an amazing voice. The emotion, those little cracks that we hear, it's a really beautiful voice. But when we see other vocalists that are really pushing out of their comfort zone, I feel like this isn't enough for me.
Yeah, and we're at round 3 now. Some variety should be showcased at this point, or at least, variety in your tone and quality and everything, and whatever notes were given previously should be taken into account.
So, with all that being said, do we think we're settled on that one?
I could be swayed to change my answer on that one.
Okay, but are you swayed?
Let's go through the others first because I want to hear other people's thoughts on them.
Okay. Let's bring up like an equal but opposite sort of note. Cyanide, right under. I know I was the only one to give her a massively much more higher score than the rest of you did, but it is definitely because she took my notes from the last 2 rounds and implemented them. She corrected the pitch, and instead of singing from head voice and prettily, she brought that down to match the rest of her group. She brought the energy, and she sang in a lovely chest and mixed voice in like this beautiful alto tone, and she brought the power to her performance. Like, I've been asking for it, I've been wanting it, and I finally got to see it, and it was really strong.
I didn't feel the same at all. I felt like the pitch was really off. I think it was the song choice. I don't think the song choice was good for anyone in the team, to be honest. I think it definitely suited Tristan the most. However, I just don't think it's a very good competition song. Especially, I just didn't feel anything from Cyanide. And I felt this shakiness, I felt there were pitch issues, I felt she wasn't holding the notes or really hitting them as hard on as I'd like them to be hit. I think the good thing was the belts towards the end of the song. I think they were beautiful. I think those little echoey harmonies in the background were really gorgeous too, and I really loved them. But that was towards the end of the song, and I feel like the first 3 quarters of the song, Cyanide kind of faded into the background for me. I was listening to Tristan, I was kind of listening to Heathen, but when it came to Cyanide, she just kind of wasn't there for me, to be honest.
Really? I thought she completed the blend because both Heathen and Tristan have very high-pitched male voices, and she grounded them.
The blend was lovely, but when it came to her solo parts, I wasn't getting anything from them. They felt very flat. They didn't feel delivered with much emotion. I didn't think that the key of the song even really suited her voice aside from the very end part to me.
Okay.
Yeah, you're actually saying a lot of things I wrote in my notes that I felt like she had some pitch issues and was a little bit flat, and it just felt like she was uncomfortable in that lower range, like it was forcing her to go deeper than what she normally would, and it just ended up coming off as forced or not very calming and soothing. It didn't fit the song. Not that it didn't fit the song, I shouldn't say. It didn't fit her voice the way she was performing it, and I also felt like this was not a great competition song. Like it wasn't really a showcase of anyone's talent, and it was just sort of like, hey, let's do this song, and it's, for the most part, it sounds good like towards the end, but it definitely was a rough way getting there. When everyone was blended and everything like that sounded really good, but no one really blew me away in their individual sections.
Alright. Well, I'm thinking that comparing Cyanide to Twinkle Berg and Natasha, since those are our 3 1 yeses, I wouldn't put Natasha or Twinkle Berg above Cyanide.
I would.
In terms of the overall performance, maybe they weren't giving as much in terms of dynamics as we would like, but I don't think Cyanide really did either until the end, and we've already heard a lot of this from Cyanide, I feel. And, you know, the harmonies, I don't know. I really feel like Twinkle Berg or Natasha deserves another chance to bring something different to the table, as opposed to, in my eyes, putting someone through who 2 rounds in a row has had pitch issues for me.
I'm just thinking that her pitch issues are honestly so minor to me in comparison to spending 3 rounds not putting anything different as opposed to trying to put in something different.
I mean, if we want to switch focus a little bit to Natasha, I felt like, honestly, the worst thing I could say about Natasha is that it was good. It was solid throughout. I felt like I could hear a bit of like Adele-like quality in her voice, and I felt like it was like I wanted to hear more, but it was definitely like there was no single part that was standing out to me, but I did want to hear more out of Natasha.
Natasha kind of hits me the same way as Twinkle Berg does, because I've been asking for more power to be incorporated into the emotional singing, but she continues to sing this very pretty, and it's less emotional than her last time. It's very head heavy, and it doesn't contain any depth or maturity to match the rest of her teammates.
So I will say that when it came to the group performance as a whole, Natasha was definitely the weakest performer of the 3. I felt like for me it was Jess at the top, followed by Daniel, followed by Natasha. But I do think that her voice is beautiful and soulful. I kind of agree with Scott to where there's not really anything I could say was bad. It's more of a case of it just didn't give enough. And I mean, that can be a variety of reasons. It could have been the arrangement, it could have been the lines given, it could have been the song choice itself.
I did agree that I think that this song choice wasn't the best competition song.
It's very samey.
Yeah, like there wasn't any sort of dynamics or range within the song. It was just sort of very staying within a certain range.
The issue I have is between the 3, right? Twinkle Berg and Natasha, good singers that didn't give enough dynamically, whereas for me, Cyanide just did not perform for me. And it wasn't a case of Cyanide's performance was, not to say that Cyanide's a bad singer, by the way. I think that Cyanide does have a lovely voice, but in this performance specifically, I didn't think it was up to the standard that she's been given, and I don't think that it was the same quality. And that's kind of the debate here, is do we put someone through who has been good but should be giving more, or someone who genuinely didn't perform as well as some of these other contestants?
Well, in my instance, both Natasha and Twinkle Berg have been okay, because I have experience with just singing to sound technically good, it checks some boxes, and moving on with my day. And that's what I feel like they've been doing. They've been doing enough to to check all boxes, but the heart's not there, and the willingness to improve is not there. Because it's round 3, and they haven't shown signs of any switching it up.
I just don't know if I can, in good faith, put Cyanide through with what I've had. It's not even this round, it's the past round too. I mean, you know how I felt about the second round. In the last round, for me, Cyanide was sharp on a lot of notes. The harmonies were sharp. It was really the pitch that was driving me to make that decision, and I feel like it's the same thing here, to where I'm just not hearing the notes.
Like having pitch issues like throughout. I especially heard, in this one with Cyanide, that towards the beginning the pitch wasn't there fully for her solo section.
Yeah, and I agree with the enthusiasm too. I didn't feel like her enthusiasm was there. I felt like out of the 3, Tristan's kind of the only one who delivered that enthusiasm that comes with that type of song. It's high energy, it's bam, 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 Mm-hmm. And I felt like Heathen was kind of getting there, but then Cyanide just, I don't know. And maybe part of it is the video too, because when I was watching the video, Tristan had a lot of energy, Heathen had a lot of energy, but then Cyanide looked like she didn't want to be there.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt that too.
That is also a trouble with watching the video and listening to something, because you will hear different things when you're looking at something, and that as opposed to just listening to it. So I know
I did just listen first, to be fair, and then I watched the video afterwards, and it kind of I guess confirmed my suspicions.
Okay, because there's no way a video could confirm your suspicions, because videos are always recorded in post-production, and I'm definitely not a great photogenic person. I can't look excited on a video.
Okay, well, regardless of the video, I still felt that way from listening to Cyanide in this. Mm-hmm. And again, it's until the end. The end was really great. That last chorus and the bridge,
the end
so
pulled
good.
It together, but I still felt like, I had, switched tabs and just listened instead of watching the video, and I still felt like it wasn't fully there for Cyanide towards the beginning and middle.
I guess my whole fear is that, say we put either Natasha or Twinkle Berg through, and we put them through just for them to get it eliminated next round because they don't pay attention to the feedback and they just give the same thing they've been giving. It feels like a waste.
I'm more comfortable with that, because at least that they've shown in this round or previous rounds that they have the talent, the voice to make it to a certain point, but they need to, if they don't show their variety or don't show their power or range or take those notes at that point, then that makes sense eliminating them. But as far as I can tell from just these couple rounds, I would be more comfortable passing Natasha or Twinkle Berg over Cyanide.
Yeah, I agree. They have the technical ability, and dynamics do play a very big part, especially, in later rounds when it comes down to, the nitty gritty. But I just don't see how we can put someone forward who, and I think this was, me and Petri agreed on this too last round with the pitch issues. It's a consistent thing, in terms of Natasha and Twinkle, I didn't really notice any pitch issues.
Same.
And I feel like they have the control, they have the pitch, they're just lacking in the dynamics, which again, it could have been a case of their group choosing the wrong song, and they're not used to working in a group environment and they just wanted to go along with it. I feel like they deserve another chance in a solo round.
Okay, let's go ahead and switch gears then, so I don't beat a dead horse. And
I feel like we should talk about Robert.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I just go him so low, man.
Well, for me, in terms of the group song as a whole, I kind of rated it a little low. But also for Robert, the energy was there, but I felt like it was a little too nasally. This song, the Michael Bolton song, he sings with such soul and emotion and all of that. And to me, Robert just sounded a little bit whiny.
Okay, so fun fact is I actually don't like Michael Bolton's delivery of the song. While he's a good singer, I find it boring as all get out. And when I heard Robert's cover of this, I actually felt like Robert brought the sparkle to the song, because he made it interesting for me. His choice of vocal inflection, I notated, was superb with all the riffs and runs he was doing. And I do agree with you on the fact that he does sound nasally, but Emma sounds nasally when she sings, but I think it's an aspect of the voice itself and not a technique.
I just felt that it was not the best fit for this song. If he had been a little bit wider in his tone, I felt like that would have worked a lot better for him.
That's fair. I was really impressed by Robert, and I haven't heard the original, I'll be honest. I've only heard the Disney movie version, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I felt like Robert could be a Hercules. When I was listening to this, I imagined it being like an actual Disney recording. Part of that is how professional his setup is and how professional his recording is, which isn't something that everyone can achieve. But his voice was so clear, he had such great control over his voice. He had a lot of softer vocals in the last round, so I really liked that he amped it up this round and brought something a little bit different to the table with the stronger, more powerful vocals. I think for him it is tough because he showed a lot of dynamics in his audition. This is why I gave him a 9 and not a 10, because I would have given him a 10, but I want him to do something that is very clearly out of his comfort zone, and I feel like this kind of belty, strong vocal is something that he does very naturally. So that's the only thing I had for him really is, next round I want to see him do something wild,
Yeah, that's the only note I gave him, that I was like, the next round I definitely want to see him do something completely different that I wouldn't expect and not just default to what he's comfortable with, which is those belts and the really bombastic delivery.
Bombastic side-eye. Sorry. Sorry.
I'd be fine moving him forward. I just felt like this performance in particular was lacking.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's a strong contender for our 3.
Yeah.
So I think pretty much all the others, I still have things that I'm like, about. Whereas Robert, at least for me, is a definite even if this performance wasn't the best, he is still good enough to put him through kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would at least want to hear him give another try.
Exactly. Same here.
Are we decided on Robert then?
Oh, we're decided on Robert.
Okay, that's
decided.
one person.
Yay! And I'm marking them down so you don't have to remember.
Okay.
Okay, let's
2
move
more to go.
on. Let's move on to our dear Victorious. I'll let you guys go ahead first.
Let me start on this one, because actually I did say no originally. He was one of my 13 no's before I cut it down to 10. Because I feel like we've heard this from him before, and that's the only problem I have, right? With the song he was given, which I don't think it was the best song for his voice, because he's a very low to mid singer. I felt like there weren't many opportunities for him to really sort of shine in this performance, but he did what he could with it. I felt like the emotion in the delivery was really good, especially, and I don't like making comparisons too often, but when it comes to, oh my god, I'm losing my train of thought. Wow. Oh my god, where am I looking? Hello? When comparing Rectorious to Ben, I felt like Ben's performance, his delivery was very flat and unemotional, whereas when you listen to Rectorious, it's still low, it's not really going anywhere, but he has the expression behind his voice, and I can tell that he was really pushing his voice to achieve that, and that's something that I can really appreciate. But yeah, I did say no originally because I want him to push himself out of his comfort zone. I don't know if he has anything else to give, and that's my concern.
Ooh,
but what he did give was very good.
Well, Emma, are
Yeah,
you a mind reader?
I didn't go back and re-listen to his earlier entries, but the tone of his voice, it meshing really well with the other singers, I felt like really nailed it to me, and I would love to continue to hear more of his voice.
So the most unfortunate part is that the tone in this entry compared to his previous entries, I know you didn't give them a listen, but it is such a far fall from his first 2 entries, which is probably why I went ahead and scored it so low. And also, this is something that really didn't dock him, but it's something that happened, which makes me so upset, is that whatever EQ was going on or whatever trashed his voice.
I could see a little bit of that. I just didn't think it was enough to not push him forward.
No. I'm saying that that's a note I'm making. That's not a dock that I made to his overall performance. Okay. I'm just lamenting because it took all of the richness out of his voice, and I'm very sad about it, and I needed to say something about it because I was like, who did that to my baby?
I felt that about all of the performers in that group round. I felt like Ben, to be honest, the reason that I didn't put Ben through was because of the microphone and the EQ, and there was just not enough for me to judge because I couldn't hear enough of his voice. And I felt like with Marta, her voice is amazing, but I felt like there was still issues with the EQ there to where it was rumbly and it was kind of strange. And so I think it was an issue with the mixing overall for that entire performance, which is a shame because I think that had a big role in how we decided who's going forward and who's not.
Yeah. So I am completely willing to be swayed on Rectorious.
Sorry, I'm excited. Will Rectorious be victorious?
All right.
Will he be victorious?
I say we have 2 down, 1 more to go.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
So
This is a really tough decision.
I'm going to do something quite reminiscent of Mark, okay?
Oh. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
He taught me all of the best segues and just wild things, but let's take a look at the score sheet, and you know how we have Twinkle Berg, Cyanide, and Natasha, but let's look at number 36, Cam. What did we say about Cam above all 3?
I said voice was a little nasally, but overall was fine. Nothing really stood out to me.
Yeah, for me I said wrong song choice, didn't get your chance to shine. The acting was good, but the singing was simple throughout and didn't showcase enough.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like you pushed your voice, so I'd had very little to judge on.
And the whole reason I put Cam's name forward is because there was nothing particularly wrong about the way she sang. Like, it was held in the right place. The vibrato was controlled and was delivered correctly. It's just in comparison to somebody like Ginga, it fell very, very short in terms of overall performance. But Cam was a top performance of mine for the auditions. So I'm like, it would be such a shame to let her go for this.
Can I make a counter offer?
Yes.
I want to mention someone who I feel like was very, very let down by the song choice and potentially by their team, Valentine.
Oh.
I feel like Valentine deserves, at the very least, an honorable mention. Because I feel like the parts, first of all, I feel like the mixing job was not good. And I feel like whoever mixed the group round messed up Valentine's vocals. But second of all, I feel like the parts that Valentine did sing in were very, very good. I feel like he pushed himself, especially towards the end of the song, when he had that like high belt. I feel like that was really good. I feel like he had good control over his voice. The acting was really good as well, which I know we're not judging acting, but I feel like the overall expression of the song, the delivery, was a lot better than, say, oh my god, who else was in the group round for that? Oh, it was Cam. I'm pitching Valentine against Cam. There we go. That's happening. Yeah, I feel like out of the two, I feel like Cam gave nothing in terms of expression and enthusiasm and embodying the song. I feel like Valentine did maybe not an incredibly better version of that, but did a little bit better than Cam.
I'm gonna pull out the Uno reverse card and say that this is the same exact debate as the one we had between choosing Cyanide, Twinkle Berg, and Natasha, because in Valentine's performance, I heard much more of the pitch issues that I noticed during the last round. And during the whole piece, Valentine did what Kalos did last round, where he flipped back and forth between sometimes delivering his lines with the correct vocal placement and energy, and then dropping the ball at other times. And the times where the ball is dropped is during those softer parts, which we've been asking him for to deliver. And so that makes me think he severely struggles with performing soft dynamics.
Yeah, I said the same thing in my notes, that the energy is inconsistent, and some parts it's there, some parts it's not. It was hard to to hear him during the bigger harmony sections and overall in the mix, but I still don't think that his performance was really enough to kind of like move through, I guess. Like I would vote for Cam over Valentine, but also I would vote either Natasha or Twinkle Berg over Cam.
Okay, so I
think it depends on you, Emma, because I would vote Cam over Twinkle Berg, Cyanide, Natasha, and Valentine.
I would vote Twinkle Berg or Natasha over Cam and Cyanide. I just don't think Cam gave energy, to be honest. I feel like it was very held back, and maybe this is because I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Ginga?
Yeah, Ginga.
Yeah.
Ginger! I feel like Ginga is such a powerhouse that maybe Cam got outshined because of that.
That's what I feel happened. Ginga was so strong in their delivery that it seems like none of their group members have any energy because of it. But I was listening to Cam's only parts, and I was like, if this song was covered by Cam just alone, this would be a perfectly well done performance.
You know what I will say in Cam's defense as well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is one of my biggest points that I had about this round is that Ginga was leveled so much louder than the other two parts in the mix. Like, I don't know if you heard that too, but Ginga was so forward and in your face. And then so when it got to Cam's part, it felt anticlimactic because now it's quiet and it's like in the background and now you're trying to hear for it, you know?
Exactly. The mixing really like screwed up the leveling right there.
Yeah, I would be open to Cam.
Scott?
Well, so open to Cam, but at the expense of Twinkle Berg or Natasha or Demonte even.
I say no to Demonte and I say no to Cyanide.
I'll say no to Demonte and Cyanide, and no to Twinkle Berg.
So it's between Natasha and Cam.
For me, yes.
Okay. If it's between Natasha and Cam, I could be swayed to go to Cam, but I would really like to hear more of Natasha. That's my thing.
I would like to hear more of Natasha too. However, between the point of Cam and Natasha, Cam is really good at having no pitch issues. And Natasha has wavered in the past a little bit, and also Cam has brought the dynamics in past performances while Natasha still hasn't done that.
Let me look at my past rounds for Cam. So the audition I didn't have notes on, really. I didn't have much to say. But for round 2, it was pitch issues when transitioning between chest and head voice, great vibrato, pretty falsetto, showed off good dynamics, be careful with pitch and control. I feel like Cam did improve based on last round's notes.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Okay. Then if there's that improvement, I could go for Cam.
Yeah, whereas last round for Natasha, I had not a great song choice, soulful tone, lacking dynamics. So basically the exact same notes. So yeah, I would be inclined to go for Cam over Natasha. Yeah.
I'm in agreement.
Okay.
So, is this looking good?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I guess we can talk about the positives, which is
Yes,
our
we can
top
talk about
performances.
about the groups themselves. Synergy first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one was actually a competitor for my top performance because it was just that good. I felt like the mix was amazing. I felt like there was a good amount of sort of how the parts were spread out. They were well distributed. And Huni balanced Bliss and Jennifer out perfectly. I really loved hearing his like deeper, warmer voice along with theirs. And the harmonies were out of control. They were crazy. I really felt like I could have heard this like in an actual Disney recording. It was that professional. The only thing that I didn't like was I felt like Bliss's vocals were very overproduced. I could definitely hear that more like mechanical, fake aspect to how the vocals were post-production. And I feel like Huni might have like slapped some autotune on there or something to kind of tidy things up, and I feel like it actually lessened the quality of the vocal when I know that Bliss could have sang it beautifully without that amount of production. So that's the only thing.
What about you, Scott?
I echo. Yeah, so I thought it was fantastic. They all blended really well together and were on pitch. I felt that the soft parts were great, but the power was there where it needed it. And I did agree that Huni may have used a little bit of auto-tune, but I didn't notice it too too much. So I think all of them sounded pretty great overall.
You guys are really gonna hate me. I said that this group has a fantastic blend, and while listening, I experienced a world of enjoyment. Each of their voices are distinct.
A whole new world of enjoyment.
A whole new world of enjoyment.
I'm getting a drink. I'll be back. I need a drink after that one. You keep talking. I'll be back in a second.
Each of their voices are distinct, but sound like they build on top of each other from the soft moments to the climax. The harmonies are beautifully crafted, and they all complement each other. So it was interesting to see each of their strengths coming into play here, and while it was a very safe song choice, in my opinion, I think they did a fantastic job with what they had.
Yeah, definitely.
She needs to get that drink faster.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm now dranked up.
Wonderful. Let's talk about the Whitners.
The what?
The Whitners.
Oh. So that's a guess.
Valentine, Ginga, and Cam.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad they didn't go with Petri's idea of a name.
I know, me too.
What did Petri suggest?
Something not age appropriate. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start off. I have to just put in kudos that the video was an extreme pleasure to watch, and then it might be a controversial opinion to say that I don't know what I was going with that thought. I personally...
That was so controversial.
I know, it's so controversial. Even though I was part of the reason why they got placed together, I honestly think that none of their voices matched each other. Now, this could be a deliverance issues because each contestant had a different way of delivering the song's message, but I will have to say when they sang together, it was like their voices completed each other. They brought an aspect that each of the others lack, and I was very impressed with the song choice, their attempt of it, but I think it was a risky move. Rent isn't for everyone, and on a first listen, it can be very odd on the ears. To be able to pull it off and make it sound exciting takes some hard work and skill. Now, I don't see anything wrong with anyone's individual delivery, but I know I would get bored listening to a version with just Cam or Valentin without Ginga, unfortunately. And that's simply because they don't have quite as near an emotional delivery as Ginga. Now, I know this song matches Ginga's style of singing, so it feels a little unfair to say Ginga performed the rest, since they have matched the original the best, but just the other deliveries lack a little bit of oomph. Cam sounds like a musical theater star, but it doesn't sound like she's singing her heart out. It seems like Valentin is hit and miss the whole time. He sounds like he doesn't connect with his solos, but he sounds like he's putting much more heart and energy into the group performances and the group sections and the large notes. The last thing I have to say is that Ginga sang like the rent was due.
God, the puns.
I have one thing to counter you with really quickly. Is you said 10 minutes ago that you would really want to hear a Cam version of the song because you said that if Cam did a solo version it would sound really good, and now you're saying that you wouldn't want to hear it.
No, I was saying in comparison to Ginga, it's boring.
Oh.
Yeah, I was saying the other time, like, if I'm not comparing, I would like to, it would be a lovely listen.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, sorry.
I was disappointed by the song choice. I didn't think it was a good song choice at all. It stays kind of within the same range for the majority of the song. I didn't feel very engrossed in the music. The voices sound good, but I do think that Cam's vocal is very spacey, and the mixing isn't great when it comes to leveling the parts, both dynamic and EQ wise. It is very important that when you have multiple vocals performing the same song, that you try and balance the EQs so that the frequencies of their voices sound similar. It's kind of like just putting a bit of glue together, you know? Mm-hmm. Like we said before, Ginga overpowered the song vocally, both due to being a powerhouse and due to leveling. I really enjoyed the harmonies, and I think that the acting was fun to watch. Quick shout out to Valentin saying, "Getting dizzy." That was my favorite part of the whole song, which maybe is a bad thing, but I loved that. I loved that line, but it just didn't hit for me as a performance. Again, the song choice, and I have very high standards of Rent songs anyway, so I feel like for me, it just didn't hit the mark.
Yeah, this is funny. Like, this is actually one of the songs that I usually do for karaoke from Rent, so I'm very familiar with this song. Ginga and Valentine's part should have been switched. I felt like that would have worked a lot better. The song overall was maybe not not the right song choice for all of the people in the group. Like Ginga, I could definitely see like it working out for them, but some of the parts didn't fully come together. It was a little uneven.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, who wants to go with Embers?
Embers. I can start.
Okay.
So I really felt Marta and Victorious' lines in this. I didn't feel Ben's parts very strongly in terms of the delivery and emotion. The harmonies were brilliant and the mix was pretty solid. I would say it was a little too airy on the mix though, so just make sure you're not going too heavy with sort of the mid to highs. Otherwise it can get overpoweringly bright. And that can take away from the natural tones of the voice. I loved Marta's high notes. Her and Rectorius sound amazing together. There were some slight issues with Ben's parts on pitch, specifically with the 3-part harmonies. There were a couple of moments with the harmonies where they were dead on the pitch, but then he was slipping and it just stuck out more because of the fact it was a harmony. Mm-hmm. And overall, it was a solid performance, but I do think that Rectorius and Marta stole the show and kind of left Ben behind.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Marta's high notes and vocal runs were really well done. The harmonies for the most part came together, but some parts were a little bit messy. But each person I felt like got to stand out. Ben less so, but Victorious and Marta definitely showed off what they could do.
So Marta single-handedly blew me away. You could say she lit up my soul. There's something a bit strange about Victorious's singing. I'm not sure if it's the mic or the mixing, but he sounded really grainy. That made it so that his parts didn't exactly blend with the others audio-wise. But audio discrepancies aside, I feel like their voices blend really well. But I also felt like the song was solely suited for Marta, and she outshone the other two in comparison. So I really wish that Victorious and Ben were able to take more liberties with the ad-libbing, but Rectorius really, I could tell he really put his best foot forward with the riffing, as opposed to where Ben just sang it straight.
Yeah, I can agree with that. There were some sort of moments where Ben was doing like scales, but I wouldn't say they were actual runs, just because he was doing them so slowly.
Yeah, and it may be something that he just needs to learn how to do, that he hasn't learned it yet.
Yeah, because he has a lovely tone of voice overall. I mean, it's a very wonderful, like warm, bright tone that I really like. He just didn't shine in this one.
I know, it's so unfortunate. Okay, Scott, take it away with Big Mac.
This was my favorite performance out of this round. Everything was really well polished. It wanted to make me hear more out of each one of the contestants. They came together really well. It just sounded like they had been doing this for a while now, even though they had just, came together for this round for the first time. I wanted to hear them do the rest of the album, basically.
Shall I go, since it's also my top?
Yes.
This was the only 10 given for the group rounds, might I add, which is my 10. You're welcome. This left me speechless. Mina was our top performance last round, and if we did have an individual top performance, I would give it to Mina. She is a powerhouse. She took on the character so well, and I love this song. This is one of my favorite songs of all time, musical-wise. The fact that she embodied the character and like the little mannerisms in her voice and the grit, it was just like, I could picture her playing that role on Broadway. Like, it's crazy. Angelina balanced out Mina really, really well. The emotion, the acting, we know that Angelina's on stage a lot. She does shows. She has that behind her. She has the technique. I can definitely tell that her voice is continuing to mature even from like last season to now. You can tell the steps she's been taking and how strong her voice is now and how dynamic it is. The only thing I would have liked to see is Kalos to have more lines where it's just him, because I looked at the script as well. I feel like Angelina and Mina had their own solo parts, but Kalos had very, very minimal parts. I think he had like 2 solo lines, and then the rest of it was either like an overlay or a harmony.
I noticed that too.
I would have liked to give him his moment, because Kalos is like my, he's my OG, he's my day one. He was my top performance, you know? So I wanted to see him shine, and he did. His voice is stunning, his harmonies, everything. So
yeah, he definitely did shine, and I do agree. Like, I really wanted to hear more of his voice. I felt like, so he got a couple lines by himself, but then the big bulk of his lines were either the harmonies, or there was one section where he was singing something different than Mina and Angelina. I just wanted to hear him by himself more, because I loved his voice. That was really my only complaint, why I rated it not quite a 10. I just wanted to hear more of all of their voices individually.
I do think it made sense when it came to how the actual song is like structured, because obviously he was taking like that Evan Hansen part. Don't be afraid to have creative liberties with how you guys are like doing scripts for songs and stuff. Like, don't be afraid to put people in roles or like give people lines that their quote-unquote character wouldn't necessarily have, because it's all about vocal performance at the end of the day. So that's the big thing.
Yes, preach, sis.
Two things I want to mention that I really loved: the high belts at the end, the big one from Kalos blew me away, as well as just all of the things happening in that last chorus. The high note from Mina that was straight in my left ear that I was like, ooh, I like that. And in the final chorus, there's that one part where it goes like, good for you, ooh, ooh, and it has like the slide. That was a terrible impression.
That slide was like, ooh,
the slide was so
good.
in sync. That was really impressive for me. The fact you guys were doing harmonies, and then you did like a harmony slide into a note, and it was so clean. It was quick. It was just bam, we're here, and yeah, that's why it's my top performance. It just blew me away.
Yeah, I think that part made me want to, like, you know that feeling you get when you hear something and you want to like throw up, but like for a good reason.
Yeah, like scratches your brain.
Yes. Oh man, I thought that this was crazy breathtaking. Good for them.
Well, okay.
And I know that Angelina and Mina are great vocalists, but honestly, my attention kept being dragged to Kalos. It was like a switch was flipped between last round and this round, and he brought his A game and his best performance to the table. I feel like I'm hearing him in a whole new light. I think this song was the perfect balance between suitable and challenging for everybody, and these guys all sounded amazing together. It's very reminiscent of like Petrichor of last season.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I can see that.
You and me together, we can make it better.
Hades and the ladies of the underground. The beginning started out like from something of a dream. It was so eerie and ethereal at the same time. I think Daniel was born to be Hades, and I'm so glad he got to continue to use his harmonies in this cover. The group produced such a true to the original cover, and I'm seriously impressed by that. I will say there was quite a bit of silence from 240 to 304. 24 seconds of silence is a lot of time when your whole song is 4 minutes. They could have filled that silence with some ad-libs like how they started it. The only flaw in this cover is that it's missing some build up.
Yeah, so I loved the ethereal vocals at the beginning. The mix was really well done. Daniel with the low notes coming in again strong. Natasha with the soulful voice. I wish that the microphone and mixing was better, because compared to Jess and Daniel, it was definitely lacking on that side of things. Jess' video setup was amazing. I have to give you credit for that. Best recording setup I've seen. And your voice is just giving me 80s vibes, or like fantasy, you know, Red Dead Redemption, The Witcher. Like, I could hear you singing one of those games or shows. The contrast between the parts were wonderful. I feel like the only issue was the actual song itself. I felt like it was kind of samey, but Daniel's belt at the end was amazing. Jess's low part at the end was amazing, and I feel like you delivered a pretty solid performance overall.
Yeah, I like the song for the most part. Daniel's voice definitely fit that role perfectly. I loved how deep gravelly his voice got, and there was such, not power, presence. There's presence in his voice, that's what I'll say. I felt like the ethereal voices in the beginning were nice, but since this was a singing competition, I felt like it doesn't really highlight anything. Maybe this song in general wasn't a good composition song, but overall was still done pretty well.
Alright, for Sons of Zeus, I was wondering if Demonte really sang that high O after Brandon's part, because that's higher than I can sing. I noticed that the levels were a bit off when everybody was singing together, but I made a note that I liked that I felt like nobody outsang overplaying the other person. They were all considerate in bringing the same energy in different ways. In this cover by Sons of Zeus, I thought that some Disney princes brought forth the much needed spark.
I honestly felt like the unison parts didn't really mesh well, and I felt like I was missing some emotion from some parts.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like the harmonies were lacking. A lot of them were very simple. They were either octaves or basic thirds. A lot of the times they didn't mesh very well. I also felt like Brandon sat quieter in the mix than Robert and Demonte, which was quite unfortunate because I wanted to hear his voice, forward and proud. Aside from that, I think the vocals were brilliant. I think that it was a really good performance.
Okay, the Arsonis. This performance was pretty fire. Twinkle Berg and the Beast sound pretty similar in this cover together. I like how each of them sang to match each other with the same energy, tone, and vocal placement. I thought this entry was pretty, as everyone suited each other, but there was an overall lack of power in the performances. It just didn't pack an emotional punch either for me.
For me, the big thing was Silver's mic and recording compared to Twinkle and Libby's. Silver's mic was definitely letting him down. He sounded very muffled and boxy, which made it very hard to hear his voice, so I couldn't really judge a lot based on that. There was some pitch issues, there were some timing issues on Libby's part towards the end. The final harmony was lovely, but I felt like people were holding on too long to the note, and sort of towards the end of the note it was kind of wavering and people were straining to keep the note going. And the harmony on the word burn at the very end was very jarring and kind of dissonant, and I don't think that was intentional. It was a good performance overall, but given the competition, this wasn't one of my favorites.
Overall, I thought it was good, but it didn't really have a whole lot of range to me in terms of the dynamics and the performances in general. Again, Twinkle Berg, I liked the emotion and how pretty sounding it was. With Libis, I also felt the emotion and the notes were very clean and very polished. For Silver Swan, I felt was a little bit quiet and flat and very low energy, so I felt like it was not as great as what I would expect, I guess.
Okay, and for Troubleshooters, I'm gonna say it, somebody really dropped the ball in song choice here. It was not a friendly competition song. Is it fun? Yes, but the cover was written with timing and peaking issues, and it wasn't even close to what I had hoped for from this group, and the quality of the cover doesn't match up to any of the others that were submitted, both in what can be heard from the singing and in the composition itself. When I saw the song choice, I was excited till I saw that this was the Robin Williams version and not the Broadway version. It would have been amazing to see one of them perform some scatting, but I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm disappointed that there was not a bigger emphasis on musicality.
Totally agree there. I feel like the song was all over the place. I don't know if it was the song choice, the lack of mixing, or both. Probably both there, because there was really not even a mix there, and I understand that not everyone's able to mix, but we have plenty of people that can do that for you, and I felt like there just wasn't much effort put into the final product. I think that the video was lovely, but in terms of the actual music, it just wasn't there. Like Arya said, there were peaking issues, parts didn't feel leveled, there was pitchiness, and half of the song, if not more, was either talking or talk singing. And it's a shame because I know that these singers have more that they can give, but there just wasn't anything to judge for me.
I felt like this song was a complete mess. It felt like a group of friends who just decided, hey, let's just do a karaoke song real quick, and nothing was practiced or polished or anything like that. Timing was all over the place. The unison and harmony parts did not blend together very well. It didn't showcase anyone's voice particularly well. With such a energetic song, it would have been so great to hear it done well, but no one in particular came to the forefront and made it stand out in any way positive.
Okay, now Incognita Lalitas.
Can I start?
Yes, you can.
This was like ethereal. I have not heard this song in so long, and it gave me the same magic I had when I first listened to it, which was just awe at the fact that a song can be so beautiful. I love that you did both the high female part and also the lower male part. You guys pushed yourselves and you delivered something gorgeous, and I know people are gonna turn around and say, oh, it was a soft, pretty song, so you guys didn't push yourselves the same as other groups did. And I disagree, because I think it takes a lot to deliver something so dynamic with so many harmonies and so many different parts and showcasing range. It was absolutely gorgeous. The soft and sweetness of Pastel's voice, the soul of Vixie's voice, and Ginny coming in with the first lines of Flynn's part with that gorgeous, like, smooth, clean tone. It made for a great group. I think we chose a very good matchup on this one. And the high notes before the last chorus were very impressive, and the harmonies on the last chorus gave me genuine chills. So all I can say is well done.
I suddenly understand how they went Incognita, because honestly, when Ginny first changed to green and brought out like that deep alto tone, I was on the floor, and then all of them did it! The range, immaculate, and the composition of the whole cover was just wonderfully done. After giving this a listen, I really feel like these ladies were born to sing together.
This song was done excellently. The harmonies meshed really well. Each singer brought their own flavor to the song and made it their own with their own little flourishes, but Pastel especially, that was an amazing performance from Pastel. I have to say that was my favorite performance out of this round. Like, it sounded just as good, if not better, than Mandy Moore, and that's saying a lot because I love Tangled.
Okay, and lastly, Cyanide's Renegades. I honestly think that this song choice was possibly the most riskiest choice they could have gone for, but I personally am happy that we placed them in a group together, because when I was listening to this song, it was the third time that we saw this song, right? And I honestly thought it was the best rendition of this song.
I think the song came together at the end, but the beginning felt a little rough. It also felt like this may not have been the best competition song, because I felt like there were some pitch issues from Kristen and Cyanide, but energy was there. I just felt like this may have been the wrong song choice for the group.
So I kind of did a bit of a stream of consciousness for this one as I listened. So Tristan sounded more nasal in this than normal, I feel like. I'm not sure, but the control and the overall tone and delivery was brilliant. He had the most energy and the most enthusiasm out of everyone, I feel like. Cyanide has a very unique voice, and I love her tone, but I felt pitchiness, I felt a lack of control, and I felt like maybe the key or the song choice wasn't appropriate for her voice. I did hear a couple of belting harmonies in which she sounded gorgeous and in her element though. For Heathen, I felt like the song was very made for him. I feel like the expression and tone was brilliant. The harmonies towards the end bring an element of suspense and dramaticism, which I adore. They're executed and mixed very well. I do feel like there were times where I was questioning who was doing the harmonies though, whether it was Heathen or Tristan doing them, and I feel like the mix didn't showcase the voices as well as it should. While the end is great, the verses and the early choruses didn't hit very hard. It felt comfortable, and I would have liked to see a song that moved around a little bit more dynamically.
Okay, and with that, there is no contention here.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah, top performance goes to Big Mac!
Big Mac! We should do a cheer.
Big Mac, Big Mac.
Big Mac, Big Mac, Big Mac. Well, that was the end of our Disney and musicals round. For anyone who made it to the top 20, congratulations. And hi-ho, it's off to work you go for the next one. And for any of you guys who didn't make it through, all of our love, keep doing what you love, keep singing, and you've always got a friend in us. And I hope that we see you for the very next round.
That was what beautiful. I did there. I really liked that. That was beautiful.
That was good.
You got a friend in Petri.
You've got a friend in Petri.
Even though he's part of a gang.
You got a friend in Petri.
That is going to be the outro right there. That's that.
Thanks for watching. Don't miss the upcoming result. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.